Welcome to Hope Here. It is Food for Thought Friday. I am so glad that you are with us. Hard to believe that we're already finishing up the second week of March. March Madness is up on us. And yet, I just want to help encourage you today to know that God loves you. The Bible tells us if God is for us, who can be against us? And if you're mental tank, you're just kind of mentally fatigued, you're physically tired, you're just emotional tanks kind of on empty. Man, I just pray today that you're going to be blessed by something that I share. Just so thankful that lots of ways for you to be able to be blessed by this program. Obviously, listening on the radio, 99.1 FM, or online at WJMM.com. Also, our podcast, we're on all the major platforms. Or you can just go to our website, hopeisheretoday.org. Also, I want to remind you, we have a YouTube channel, and most of our programs are on there. Sometimes we have some technical difficulties. You know how that can happen, but hope you'll subscribe to our YouTube channel or whatever platform you listen to podcasts. Just, you can find on YouTube channel and on podcast, wherever you watch, on whatever platform. Just simply type in Hope is Here. And if you can subscribe, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you've been blessed by a program, please share that with us. That encourages me and my other teammates on the Hope is Here ministry staff that just want to let you know that there's always hope because of Jesus. I want to share with you something here today at the beginning of the program that John Gordon, I kind of call him the more now modern day version of John Maxwell, who just had such tremendous impact on my life. I've probably read at least 15 of John Maxwell's books. Started out as a pastor, and then some of the principles he taught people that were in I call it the business world or the real world, okay, where I was before I got ministry in my mid-30s. But now John Gordon's kind of that same type of guy that helps people with leadership, inspirational stuff. And it's not overwhelmingly faith-based as far as like in your face more, but everything like John Maxwell is based on principles in the Bible. But he has something that he put together from this wonderful book he wrote called The Carpenter that I read a few years ago. And he just entitles this thing called Believe. He says, I expect great things to happen to me today. I trust in God's plan for my life. I accept all the love, joy, abundance, and success in my life. I accept all the people who want to work with me today and benefit from my gifts and talents. Every day I am getting stronger, healthier, and better. How powerful would that be if you read that simple thing there? Take about maybe 1 minute at most. Read that out loud together. This thing called Believe from John Gordon from his book, The Carpenter. We'll repeat it one last time. I expect great things to happen to me today. I trust in God's plan for my life. I accept all the love, joy, abundance, and success in my life. I accept all the people who want to work with me and benefit from my gifts and talents. And every day I'm getting stronger, healthier, and better. Friends, I love that so much. And just know that and believe that today, that Jesus is with you and help you with whatever situations that you encounter today. A lot of times, though, like we talked about earlier, when you get to Friday, man, you're just worn out. I want to encourage you with 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. It says, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Such powerful stuff there from Paul. You know, the first part of that verse, it's 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9, but in verses 7 and 8, right before that, Paul shares that, hey, 3 times I pleaded with God to remove this thorn from my flesh. Obviously, just something, if you describe it as a thorn in the flesh, something that really, really was bothering Paul. The amazing part is we don't know what it was. Some people think maybe he was losing his vision. Others think he just had another major health challenge, whatever that was, and yet, for whatever reasons, God just did not decide to remove that obstacle, that barrier, that possible physical challenge that he had. And yet, he said that God did answer him, but instead of healing him the way that Paul wanted, he said, God said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in your weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Jesus Christ may rest upon me. Aren't you thankful for that today, friends? I know that I am. And just know that you can trust in God even when you can't see God. And I know that's easier said than done sometimes, but I want to remind you that we walk by faith and not by sight. It's such an important thing. You know, earlier this week we talked about being transformed in our relationships, and you know, one of the relationships I'm really blessed with is a mentor, a friend, Tom Haley. Tom is such a blessing, a faithful listener to Hope is Here. Recently I was invited to speak by one of our Hope is Here regular listeners to come speak to the staff at his church, and I was just so blessed to be able to speak to them. And Tom rode up with me, and we just had great conversation. He asked me just some really good questions about my life, and just personally, spiritually, physically, and then was just such an encouragement with the talk. And you know, man, we need to be thankful for friends like that. And I know Tom listens almost every morning to the podcast while he's fixing his wife breakfast. He's retired, but very, very active still. Just want to say thank you, Tom, for being a blessing to my life and just encouraging this ministry in so many different ways. And I look forward to hoping have more opportunities to ride with you, and I'm able to share at another speaking opportunity. And just want to let you know that that's part of this ministry. I love to go and speak places, whether it's to church staff like I did recently, to nonprofit groups. Obviously, the foundation of Hope is Here is about mental health and suicide prevention. I prefer to speak about it from a faith-based foundation, but I can also do it in a secular way. Also like to go and speak to businesses. I've been going and speaking to some FCAs that meet at schools. So anyway, just know that I'm available to do that. Just go to our website, hopeisheretoday.org. That's hopeisheretoday.org. And Kathy will reach out to you, who handles all of my scheduling, does such a great job that we would be glad to try to find a date that works for all of us, and just hope I can be a blessing and provide hope to your ministry, your business, or your organization. But as we continue Food for Thought Friday, one of the things that we always have to think about and take a look at is just to see, hey, God, where are you working? And sometimes, man, all we can do is keep our head above water, right? That's why I love Isaiah chapter 43, verse 2. It says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. Friends, isn't it great to know that, on this side of heaven, we are going to go through trials and tribulations. Jesus shared that with us. But he's also saying, hey, I'll walk with you. And when you pass through those rivers, they're not going to sweep you over. When you walk through the fire, and man, we all do that at times. We have seasons of life where, man, it's just hot and it's stressful and it's tiring. And yet God's saying, hey, you're not going to be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. And so know that you can be encouraged by that and stand by it today. I love this quote. We've talked about, being transformed here in 2025. And part of that is setting a goal with these different areas we've talked about, from our spiritual health, our physical health, our mental health, our emotional health, our relational health. We're going to be talking about our financial health next week, and then our vocational health. But I love this quote I saw recently. Unfortunately, I'm not sure who actually said it, but the quote says, if you don't sacrifice for your goals will become the sacrifice. Ouch, I like that. If you don't sacrifice for your goals will become the sacrifice. And, it's the old saying, friends, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I love Jeremiah 29:11. It says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. And I'll never forget, probably 20 years ago, I was reading that verse. It's a very popular verse but it just hit me. In this one verse, God has one word 3 times. And I love that because sometimes, if I'm honest, I'm not focused or paying attention, and don't judge me. I know you struggle with that too at times. But in that one verse, Jeremiah 29:11, it says the word plans 3 times. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. So friends, I just, like I was reminded 20 years ago after reading that verse so many times before, but God just speaks to us in different times, in different ways, in different seasons, right when we need to hear his word and hear his voice. But it spoke to me because I was kind of in an uncertain, just kind of a challenging season of life. And God said, hey, Greg, just so you know, that one verse that you liked so much for several years, well, I want you to focus on the one word that's in there. In this one verse, the word plans is in there 3 times. So I want to let you know that, yes, I know right now you don't totally see the plan for your one and only life, but I'm working on that plan right now. And now that I'm way on the other side of that, friends, as we have completed 7 years of Hope is Here, and just so excited about what God's already doing in this year, in 2025, through Hope is Here Ministries, opening more doors for me to go and share about how we can have hope each day because of Jesus. Also opening opportunities in speaking environments. And I'm just so thankful and so blessed for all those opportunities. Earlier this week, I got to speak in Cynthiana at a conference with the Chamber of Commerce talking about how to have a successful failure. And so I'm so thankful, friend, that God 20 years ago, when I just didn't know what was going to happen in life, when I had to file bankruptcy and went through the unexpected divorce, lost my business, home, and marriage in almost 24 period, that now, fast forward 20 plus years later, that I'm able to share about hope and just say that there's always hope because of Jesus. And we have to be reminded of that and stand on that principle. Even when we don't see God, we can still know that he's there, friends. And doesn't that mean a lot to know that God is always there with us? Oh, friends, I'm so thankful for that we can know that God is with us, even when it just doesn't make sense sometimes, does it? I think we can all admit that. There are times that we all just kind of wonder, God, where are you at? And I know I've been there. I've been there, friends. And yet I know that God cares about every area of our lives. And therefore we ought to care about him too. So I just want to encourage you today. Just keep your eyes on Jesus. And even when God doesn't make sense, you can still trust him because he's a good, good Father. He loves you. He wants to help you. He promises he will never leave you. He will never forsake you. And it's just so important to know that, friends, that we can stand on that. I love this quote I saw about faith. It says, faith doesn't always take you out of the problem. Faith takes you through the problem. Faith doesn't always take away the pain. Faith gives you the ability to handle the pain. Faith doesn't always take you out of the storm. Faith calms you in the midst of the storm. Share that one more time, and I apologize. I'm not sure who wrote this, but such good stuff. I still wanted to share it. Somebody knows, please let me know. We'll be glad to give them credit. But it says, faith doesn't always take you out of the problem. Faith takes you through the problem. Faith doesn't always take away the pain. Faith gives you the ability to handle the pain. Faith doesn't always take you out of the storm. Faith calms you in the midst of the storm. So friends, I want to remind you today, we walk by faith and not by sight. And I also remind you that Hebrews 11:6 says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. Look forward to seeing you on Monday. My name's Greg Horn, and this is Hope is Here.